Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video I'm going to talk about a long road trip that I made this past weekend. You can see here on the screen in front of me I drove from Prince George down to Carstairs, Alberta, through the Rocky Mountains, which is an interesting drive. Not really a lot of information online about how to do that with an electric car, and I learned a bunch of things. So, not having much experience, I took a conservative approach on the way there, and I took a different route on the way back, and we'll talk about that. So here I kind of plugged in all the places I stopped. Starting in Prince George, I drove with about 97-98% charge to Valemount, which is kind of a little bit off the beaten path down here because of where the charging stations were. I will show the plug share map in a moment. But so I went from Prince George to Valemount, then to Jasper. And Jasper doesn't have any fast chargers. Talk about that when we get to that area of this talk. They only have 4 Tesla chargers there, like the ones you'd install in your garage. So you get like 1% charge an hour or something like that. And then, and maybe it's more than 1%, sorry. Anyway, then I went to Field, British Columbia, again off the path there, because I thought I had to. And then I went to Canmore, and then off to Carstairs. So this is a map. You can see here in Google Maps, if this was just a regular gas vehicle, ICE vehicle, I would take about 10 hours and 33 minutes, not stopping for gas or anything like that. I believe this trip is a little bit over 13 hours with charging. Let's take a look at plug share now. So why did I map out that trail? Starting in Prince George, almost a full charge. So I could either pick McBride or Valemount. Getting to Jasper, I might be able to push with 100% charge to get to there, but there's no fast chargers there, so that just isn't an option right now. So what I did was I went to Valemount because it's closer than McBride, so that I'd have more of a charge when I arrive at Jasper, and I'd spend less time charging there. So I drove down here to Valemount, which does have a DC fast charger. And then after that, I charged up to almost 100%. Went to Jasper, charged just enough to go down the Icefields highway here. And if I scroll here, you can see, do I have enough charge to get to Canmore? Well, I played it conservative and I went to Field. Charged at Field, then went to Canmore, and Canmore has Tesla superchargers. They also have Petro-Canada charger there, but I used the Tesla superchargers because I had 1,500 free charging kilometers thanks to someone who used one of my referral codes to get a Model 3. And then after charging up to about 100% here, I was able to make it up here to Carstairs, no problem. So that's the plug share map. You can see here on the screen, this is the Friday I left with 97% charge from my house. After that, this is us arriving at the Valemount BC Hydro DC fast charger. You can see beautiful mountains, by the way, in Valemount. This charger is right beside a big park here, lots of places to play with your children. Tim Hortons, about 5 minutes down the road. Cute little town, not a whole lot going on there, but it is gorgeous there and very nice people. So let's see here. We arrived in Valemount with 17% charge. And that's what we started charging up with. And you can see that was at about 10:51 a.m. And nice mountains here. I just wanted to point out in this picture in Valemount, really cool that these small towns in BC, because of the current health situation, they put up these graduates of 2020 posters all down the street, so that was kind of cool. Anyway, here's us leaving. So we started charging about 10:51 and we finished at 12:23, up to 97% charge in Valemount. And with 97%, we arrived in Jasper 68%. So it takes about 30% charge on a Tesla Model 3 to get from Valemount to Jasper, that stretch of highway, about 30%. Obviously, depending on how you drive, but that's what it was for me. So we got to Jasper with 68%. Here's a picture of me and my son with nice mountains in the background. This is Jasper. Very cute city, lots to do here. But again, in Jasper, not a... Let's see if I can find a picture here. I'll come back to the stuff now. In Jasper, no, I didn't have a picture here. I have one later. Anyways, in Jasper, there's 4 chargers at the train station, and like I said on the trip back, I did take a picture, so I will show that to you. And they just give you 50 something kilometers of charge per hour. There are 2 chargers that have Tesla connectors and 2 chargers that have J1772 connectors, so 4 in total. And it's basically right at the train station, big parking lot there, and I'll show more of that later. So we charged up to 77%, is that right? Let's see. Yeah, we charged up to 77%. So what did I arrive with? 68. So we got about 10% charge. Did I have the time here? We arrived in Jasper. Okay, so it was 1:46 when we started charging at 68%, and 2:30, so not quite an hour, and we got almost 10% charge, and that was, in my opinion, enough buffer to get to where we need to go next, which was Field, BC, which I mentioned earlier. So here's the 77%, leaving Jasper. And just a few pictures along the way, because this stretch of highway is absolutely epic. Saw a number of Porsches and other Teslas driving through this area. You can see here huge glaciers of ice up in the mountains, just absolutely beautiful. This is a viewpoint that you could pull out and just take a break, go to the bathroom. Quite a few of them along the way. And here's me arriving in Field, British Columbia. This is the DC fast charger. Beautiful mountains all the way around the city. Not a whole lot to do in Field, but there are some bistros in different places across the train tracks. Other side of this, I might show some pictures, but anyway, I arrived here, and that's when I met a YouTuber that I've subscribed to. I'll put a link in this video. Ariel. He has his own channel. Him and his wife were there in a Model X, and they were kind enough to let me start charging. Even though they were still charging, they had enough to get to Canmore. Both of us were heading to Canmore to charge next. So this was Field, British Columbia. You can see there's a DC fast charger there and a smaller J1772, which I could have used, but it would have been tough for me because I was getting low on my charge to get to the next charging station. So here's me at Field, 44%. I think that's what I charged up to get to the next spot. And here's me now with my wife and my child at Canmore. So this is the Tesla superchargers. There's 4 of them at Canmore, British Columbia. And you can see tons of bugs here on the front of the grill. Happily, I got PPF and ceramic, so cleaning this off. Later on, I'll make another video about the ceramic and the PPF protection. Makes it a lot easier to clean all this junk off, driving so many kilometers. So here we arrived with 19% charge, so lots of extra buffer. And yeah, this is just a picture from looking down the hill from the supercharger. Gorgeous mountains all around in Canmore. And yeah, we charged up to like 97% in Canmore. I didn't show any pictures of that, but almost to 100. And this is us arriving at Carstairs, Alberta. So Took about 37% to drive to Carstairs, and we arrived at about 60% charge. Anyways, okay, so quick summary of the drive down. This is using Tesla Fi, which I subscribe to. So on the Friday, we drove a total of 936 kilometers. The rated kilometers of the energy we used was 1,174. So you can see here, the efficiency was just about 80%. Took 9 hours and 30 minutes to drive. We used 157 kilowatt hours for the drive. My average was 169 watt hours per kilometer, or however that works, sorry. And don't worry about total cost. It was actually cost nothing, because all the BC Hydro chargers, and as well as the Tesla chargers in Jasper, they're all free right now. And the superchargers, again, I didn't pay anything because it would have, because I had free kilometers with Tesla. So it would have cost $19 for the trip if I had to pay for the supercharging, but I didn't. So that was the drive down. So again, it took about 13 hours plus. And let's take a look now at the drive back on the Sunday. So on the Sunday, starting in Carstairs, driving back home, I kind of did a different route. I learned a bunch of things from the drive down. I learned I took more stops than I had to. I charged longer than I had to. So in the end, all I did was I charged at Canmore at the supercharger up to about 97%. Drove all the way to Jasper, charged just enough to get to McBride, charged just enough to get home. So let's see what that looked like. So I left Carstairs with about 69% charge. Okay, driving on the highway here. And I arrived, okay, I'll just show some pictures. This is Alberta heading into the foothills, getting close to the Rockies. Beautiful pictures here. Lots of really nice pictures. Getting closer to Canmore, and made it to Canmore. I just took a quick picture. This is the other fast charger in town if you don't have a Tesla. There's a couple of these Petro-Canada DC fast chargers. If you have Chatamo, these go up to 100 kilowatt. If you have CCS, I think it goes up to 350 kilowatt if your car can handle that. I don't think any car can, so whatever your maximum you can handle, it's going to give you the max. And of course, these are pay, so I don't know what the cost is there, but there's two of them, and it's right at the Petro-Canada station, just down the road from the Tesla supercharger, same road. And there's a Tim Hortons and a McDonald's close by. All right, so I arrived at Canmore, charged up to 98%, and that's when we left. Some beautiful pictures here, beautiful mountains. I really recommend this drive. You're really going to enjoy it. Lots of traffic on Highway 1 until you turn off to the Icefields, I will say that. Okay, so just still showing some pictures here. This is us heading up the Icefields now. A lot less traffic, gorgeous mountains, lots of snow, lots of glaciers. I think this is the Columbia Icefield at this point. And by the way, if there were people walking on that, you wouldn't be able to see it in this picture. They'd be like little dots. That's how big this glacier is. Kind of hard to see in a picture. Here's us driving up the Icefields Highway towards Jasper. You can just see what it looks like. Really beautiful. Subscribe to my Instagram account if you want to see more of these pictures, guys. And here is us in Jasper. So this is what I was talking about. The Tesla, I call them the wall chargers or garage chargers, whatever. 4 of them here. These are fairly new. I believe they came either this year or late last year. Right near the train station. There's a big parking lot here. Kitty corner to the left, there's a big black train that's just on display. So this is kind of tucked right behind everything. 4 of these. 2 of these are Tesla chargers. 2 of them are J1772s. I got about 10% charge on my Model 3 in an hour's time. So that's what you can basically consider getting from these. So you can see I arrived with 29% charge in Jasper when I left the supercharger in Canmore. So 97, 98 down to 20, so 70% charge it takes to get from Jasper to Canmore. So that's just something to note. And here's me. I charged up to 44%. What time did I arrive here? Does it say? So 4:19 p.m. I arrived with 29%. And it doesn't have the time here. I think I stayed here about an hour. I think that's what it was. Maybe not quite an hour. But I charged up to 44%, which was enough to get to McBride. I don't think I show a picture here. Here's some mountains driving towards McBride. This is just a quick snapshot of Mount Robson. I have another video about this, but you can see down here, new charging stations, really cool. There's like 6 of them. 2 of them are DC fast chargers right in the end there. And this is a sort of visitor center parking lot. Moose Lake here on the left. Gorgeous drive. Really nice. Really recommend it. And this is us in McBride. Now, I don't have a snapshot of it, but I arrived with about 9% charge. So I left Jasper with 44, and I arrived with 9%. So that's how much it takes to do that stretch. And then DC fast charge. Here's some pictures in town. Kind of a nice little town, but lots of beautiful mountains like this all around. I'll show some pictures here. Yeah, I took this picture. This Petro-Canada is right across the road from the charging station. There's also an Esso there. Nowhere in town to go to the bathroom. This town is like locked down because of the current health situation. All the portable bathrooms and everywhere, they're just all locked up and closed with steel cables. Even further down outside of town at some of the rest areas, they were all locked up. So if you need to go to the bathroom, head over to Petro. Lots of things, some food there to buy and whatnot. And right near the charging station, saw these 2 deer lying down under trees. Really kind of neat to see that. And we charged up from 9% to 64%. And that's enough to get home to Prince George. I think we had a buffer when we got home of, again, 9%. And here's us arriving home, 9%. Obviously, battery very low. And let's look at some stats. All right, so this time the drive, we drove less, stopped at less charging stations. It took us 12 hours from when we left to when we arrived home. Total kilometers, 844. That's what we drove. Rated kilometers for that energy. So 82% was the efficiency. This time a little bit more efficient. And drive time was 8 hours and 30 minutes. The rest was charging. Kilowatt hours used, 138. Watt hours per kilometer, 164. So pretty efficient driving. Again, I supercharged once. The cost would have been $17, but it was free, so I didn't pay anything. And overall, just a real decent trip. Now I know it's quite doable to drive from BC to Alberta. Got to know where your charging stations are, know what the limits are of your car. I hope this video helps you guys out, and I will show some sped up footage of the drive for your viewing pleasure. Absolutely some of the most beautiful roadways to drive in BC and Alberta. It is a national park of Canada and just beautiful, lots of places to stop and enjoy the scenery, and just a real treat to drive with an electric car through these mountains. Easy to pass people, and as long as you plan your trip wise, you can have a great time. That's it for today. Thanks, everyone.
you.